Hi, and welcome to Spanish Fork 17's high school pregame show. It is week 5. I'm your host, Ken Money, and I'm joined on set.
I'm Brandon Crow, voice of Maple Mountain High School football.
And thanks for filling in for us. We know Sam's supposedly on.
He's supposedly working, I think, right?
In
Sam,
France.
You're watching this. I know you're watching.
He's watching in France. How much work can you do while you're in France?
I don't know.
But anyway, but thanks for being here.
Thank you.
We're really excited. We're 30 minutes from kickoff to what promises to be a couple of really big games this week.
Yeah, week 5 is about ready to get underway, just like you said, 30 minutes. And week 4, we really saw some good things coming from region play. Some teams already starting off undefeated, Springville, and even Spanish Fork. Yeah, Spanish Fork got a big win, a 7-point win over Salem Hills. We'll talk a little bit about that more later. And Maple Mountain lost a tough one. They did. You know, it always goes back to the fundamentals. You want to stay and make sure you do the little things. And that's what came back to bite them. An extra point that cost them probably going into overtime. And then, so they're 0-1 in the region. But the season's early. There's still lots of time to get healthy. And it's kind of interesting that this week that Maple Mountain steps out of region play and has a non-region game. Yeah, the non-region game up in Tooele, it's we will not be broadcasting that as it's pretty far away, but it'll be an interesting test for Maple Mountain. It'll be a different formation, a wing tee, an old school style offense that they haven't seen yet this year, and it'll be interesting to see Coach Burtonshaw and the Golden Eagles and how they prepare for that. Right, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in depth. But if people want to watch the games tonight, watch the Spanish Fork game, how can they do that? You can watch, obviously, here on Spanish Fork 17. You can also watch online at sfcn.org and as well as on YouTube/Spanish Fork 17. Good. Okay, so there's really no excuse not to watch the game. You can find it one way or another, or you can always just do it the old-fashioned way, show up at the games. Exactly. So, good. And Spanish Fork 17 will be there. So we'll take a quick break. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about Maple Mountain's game last week and their upcoming game. So Brandon, really, Maple Mountain lost a big game last week, their first step into region play, and they came up just short. And as you mentioned, fundamentals kind of broke down. What was going on? Well, the final box score comes out 14-13, and that indeed shows up as being very close, and it was. It was a scoreless game into the second half, and then Springville scored 2 touchdowns, and then Jaron Hall had to come back through 2 touchdown passes, and they had an opportunity to tie up the game, and it looks like it was heading into overtime, but a big paw from Springville, Sai Atiale, came in and blocked the PAT after a botched snap, and just the fundamentals kind of lost it for Burtonshaw's Eagles. It's so crazy. They prepare all week. They play so hard it comes down to something as simple as an extra point, which goes to prove there really isn't something as simple as an extra point. Exactly. You know, you got to make sure that the snap is there and that the kicker's on the par, and as well as the offensive line's blocking. So all things have to be working, and it's not a gimme. Oh, absolutely. And now it puts a lot of pressure on Coach Burtonshaw. Now they step out of region play. They have a game in Tooele, you know, coming with a lost 0-1. It's a wonder how they're going to rally and come back. And Tooele is really a pretty good team. Tooele is a very strong team. They beat Stansbury last week, and we know that they run a wing tee offense. And they threw a ball for a combined 8 times last week. The whole game. The whole game. It's not a joke, 8 times. And they ran the ball for over almost 50 times for almost 300 yards. Oh. And so we know that they are very, very run heavy. So look for Noah Lanufe and company on the defensive line to really make a big push and big stand for Coach Burtonshaw's squad. And we had a chance, Freddie had a chance to catch up with some of the players, and maybe we can talk about one of the interviews that he did. Our sideline extraordinaire, Freddie Woods, caught up with Corey Rockovitz this week from the Golden Eagles at practice.
You know, they just kind of try to calm us down, you know, tell us everything's all right, you know, just keep doing what we do. Same thing in practice, you know, just keep that intensity up.
As a linebacker, you're a tough guy. You probably have to have kind of a killer instinct, be a little mean. Is that something that you feel like comes naturally to you, or do you kind of have to pump yourself up for games to get ready to be a meanie?
No, that's always just come naturally to me. You know, I love contact sports. You know, I just love the intensity of it, going to hit hard. So.
You know, it's interesting. Corey kind of seems like he's got the demeanor, the personality of a linebacker. It's interesting where he said he's always loved contact sports, and he looks like the kind of guy that you want in the middle of your defensive line. Exactly. You have to have that edge, a little bit of craziness to you if you want to play that position at any level, and especially if you want to play, he goes both ways. So if you want to be successful both ways, you got to have a little bit of craziness to you. And he looked like he just had those crazy eyes in the middle of the linebacker. I could just see him playing right over the middle. Exactly. And speaking of crazy, you have to be crazy to be in the trenches on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. And our sideline reporter, again, Freddie Woods, caught up with Corbin Tibbles, who plays both ways, alongside Noah Lanufe
for the Maple Mountain Golden Eagles.
How do you guys stay energized, especially on the line? You guys are battling all game long. You don't stop. You don't really get many breaks. How do you stay mentally tough and physically, energized?
Well, I think conditioning and practice helps with it, but also it's kind of, like we're one of the important forces. Without us, not much is going to happen. So we all know it's kind of on our shoulders to win the games.
What's it like playing alongside Nolan Nufe? He's kind of a beast.
Yeah, he's pretty big. Sometimes I feel small, but he works really well. We do good together, so we get stuff done.
If you feel small, he must be a pretty big guy, right?
Yeah.
Brad, it's kind of interesting to hear Corbin talk. I can't imagine how exhausting that must be, playing on the offensive and defensive line the whole game. Not the biggest guy on the team, but he's playing next to the biggest guy on the team.
Exactly, and it's got to help to learn from a guy like Nolan Nufe, who puts in that hard work day in and day out. Coach Burtonshaw will echo the same words that Corbin Tibbles just said, just how strong of a hard worker Noah really is.
And it sounds like they're coming together just as the Coach Burtonshaw would want them to, as a cohesive unit as they get ready to attack the region play. And then we had a chance to talk with Dawson Bueller, who had a big catch, almost the biggest catch.
Almost the biggest catch, you're right. With less than a minute to go, he had a 30-yard touchdown catch just down the sideline that Jaron Hall put on a money. It was a dime. Nobody else could have touched it but Dawson Bueller, and he came up with it. And Freddie Woods actually caught up with him as well earlier this week in practice.
You go to school, you go home, get a snack, go to football practice, go home, get your homework done, and go to bed. So,
How do you stay energized each game?
Just a love for the game. I just love going out there playing as hard as I can. So.
About a week and a half ago, I talked to you about an injury that was still healing up. You were pretty sure you'd play against Springville, but you weren't positive. Looked like you were feeling okay out there. How are you feeling during the game?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I was iffy a little bit, but I wanted to play, so I was like, I'm going to play anyways. But it didn't hurt at all. I felt fine, so it was good.
You played pretty well despite of it. How do you not overlook Tooele? It might be tempting. You've got Spanish Fork here in a couple weeks. How are coaches telling you guys to focus on Tooele?
I just take one every game, take one at a time. We just set goals for every game, so we go try and get those goals and do well.
So Dawson Bueller, he's 6'5" receiver, and playing alongside James Wilson provides great targets for Jaron Hall. And he had another touchdown catch last week, and I think he's going to prove to be successful further on down the season.
And it's got to give comfort to Coach Burtonshaw to have those kind of receivers on both sides of the ball. But Coach Burtonshaw also talked to us this week a little bit about preparing for the team and the cohesiveness of the team, and a little bit about the game coming up with Tooele. Let's take a listen to what Coach Burtonshaw had to say.
Yeah, I think every team, you want to be resilient like that, to be able to bounce back from, a tough game or tough situations. And, football is really built on that. It's hard in August. It's hard when you're sore and beat up and you got to continually bounce back. So it's kind of built in, but yeah, that's something that's been the focus for this week.
What are you looking at for next game? What are you going to look at and say, yes, my guys successfully bounced back?
I think just the attitude with which they play, not hanging their heads, but just moving forward, trying to get better at what they're doing and doing their jobs.
Tooele runs a wing T offense. Tell us about that.
It's a very run-oriented offense. They play a lot with two running backs and a wing off the tight end. They do some misdirection, and so they really want to run the ball and throw some play-action passes.
And, Coach, now that temperatures are dropping, things are getting colder, how do you kind of prepare your guys to play in different weather?
I think they enjoy the change. Where it's been so hot for so long with football, it actually brings a little more energy to practice, to the games. They fly around a little bit more and have more fun. So it's just kind of something that happens every year. So I don't do anything special for cold, just dress warmer.
Coach Burtonshaw always makes it sound so simple. I know it's much more difficult than what he puts forward, but he's fun to listen to, and he's so good to talk to us whenever we want to talk to him about the week's upcoming game.
Yeah, he's a super personable guy, very nice, very simple, and again, he stresses the fundamentals, even though it kind of hurt him this past week. But I know that he'll get his squad ready for this upcoming week as well. And also, he likes to have a little fun with his team, and we had some fun with the team as well. A question was posed to the Maple Mountain Golden Eagles about who the strongest man on the team is and who would win in an arm wrestling contest. I wonder who they chose.
The answer was surprising.
Yeah, here, take a look.
Last question for you. It's a serious one. Who would win in an arm wrestling competition? Who's the champion of the team? Who's the strongest guy on the team?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know. We got a lot of strong guys on this team.
You got to pick one.
Maybe Garrett. Maybe Zach. They're pretty strong.
I have to say Dawson Bueller. I mean, he's huge. Every time.
Probably Quinn Hooper.
Why do you say that?
He's super fast. A little ginger hair helps a little bit. He's just naturally the strongest kid.
Probably Coach Minor.
Why do you say that?
He's just the meanest guy we have on the team.
That is kind of funny to see that the guy that's going to win the arm wrestling contest is a coach. But, you know, he does look like he's an athlete, and he's a pretty intense guy.
Yeah, I've spent some time with Coach Miner when I covered the baseball team for Maple Mountain, and he's a strong guy. He's got that firm handshake. I wouldn't put it past him. And I know he keeps those muscles nice and close underneath those big poofy baseball jackets, so you never know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, we're down to about 16 minutes till kickoff the football game. There's still a lot to cover with Spanish Fork. We wish best luck to Maple Mountain, and I think they go out to Twill. They got their work cut out for them, but hopefully they come back with a win and ready to step back into region play.
Yeah, I think Coach Burtonshaw is going to have his team ready to go, and I think the Maple Mountain Golden Eagles will come out with the victory this week, but let's hope so and hope for the best.
I know Tooele beat a good Stansbury team, which was kind of a surprise. So, yeah, he's got to have those guys come into play and not looking past this game into region play for next week.
Exactly.
And I think he'll do that. He's a good coach. He knows that. So I'm sure that's what will happen. So let's just take a quick break. When we come back, let's start breaking down Spanish Fork. We're just 15 minutes from kickoff, and I'm excited to talk about the Dons.
Yep, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hi, and welcome back to Spanish Fork 17's pregame show, week 5. We're less than 15 minutes from Spanish Fork's kickoff. And Spanish Fork's coming off a big win last week, an emotional win. They went over to Salem, and they got a win by 1 touchdown.
Yeah, 21-14, they came out on top. And really what stood out to me on the offensive side of the ball was Kiesel. He was very effective, not with his arm, but with his legs, something that I don't think many people were expecting.
That's right. Everybody thinks he's going to be going down, throwing the ball downfield, and he kind of brought the defense in and got some good blocking from the offensive line and 2 long runs into the end zone.
I'm not sure if he called an audible or if that was a designed quarterback run, but he did it twice, as you can take a look with these clips here. It was virtually the same play. One of them was maybe 20, 25 yards, and the other one was a little bit shorter, but he dominated on that offensive side by himself. But another key factor that I thought was very important for Spanish Fork was their defense.
Yeah, defense came up big. And going back to Kiesel really quick, those 2 runs up the middle, all of a sudden the defense starts loading up the box, and then all of a sudden he goes over the top and throws a long pass to Jackson Higginson, opens up the offense. But no question defense. Mace Funa, the 9th grader, got his 4th interception in 4 games. He took it back to the house for a touchdown. And really in the 7-point game, that could have been the deciding factor right there.
So I know after a big week, an emotional week last week, they have another emotional week this week against their rivals in Springville.
Oh yeah, big Springville. I don't think Coach Smith has a hard time getting his guys up for this game. Springville's always been a big rival. In fact, we had just a second after practice to talk to a few of the players about their feelings about the Springville game.
I know it's rivalry week with Springville. What do you think about when you think about playing the Devils?
We don't like them. They don't like us. It's just going to be fighting from play 1 to the last play. And this time, we're the top dogs.
Springville, I want to beat those guys really bad. They're a good physical team, and we really want to beat those guys.
Hope to beat them and win our homecoming night.
I think it's a rivalry week, and so we got to be ready to go.
They're demons, and I don't really like them that much, so let's go kick some butt.
You don't know what you're going to hear when you ask these guys about a rivalry because the emotion is so close to the surface.
Yeah, but you gotta love the candid answers though. I don't like them. They don't like us. Let's go kick some butt.
Yeah, they don't really want to talk to us, but all of a sudden we say you have a chance to be on TV. All of a sudden, yeah, they're willing to talk, and you never know what you're going to hear. But you know what? You can feel the emotion. I'm excited. We're less than 15 minutes from kickoff, and it's a lot of fun. And Spanish Fork, big game, big games going over to big game at home. It's homecoming, and Springville's coming to town, and that's always a big game every year.
No matter what happens within this local community, whenever these teams play against each other, you're always going to have emotions because it's who you see on a daily basis. Even on the weekends, sometimes you can even go to church with people in a different school.
Oh, absolutely. The stands will be full. There'll be lots of emotion, and this is really a big game in region. Whoever comes out of this 2-0 in region is really going to have, be in the perfect position for the rest of the season. And I had a chance earlier this week to talk to Isaac Pendleton, a senior wide receiver who's made some big catches for Spanish Fork, and just talk to him a little bit about the Springville game that's coming up.
Looks like a lot of the big passes that go down the field are to you. What's your favorite route? Would you rather just be catching those short possession routes, or would you rather be going deep?
It doesn't matter as long as I catch the ball.
Good. Sometimes there's pressure when you're wide open. I've seen you a couple times. There's not even a defender anywhere around. It seems like those catches are a little more difficult to come up with.
When there's no defender around?
Yeah.
Those are the easy ones.
Oh, okay, you say that. So, okay, homecoming week. Talk to me a little bit about homecoming week. What are some of the activities you've been involved in?
Well, yesterday they had a fiesta in the gym, and we got to play lots of games and have fun. And this week they're going to do a movie night and all this cool stuff. It makes it really fun.
Does it make it a little bit tough to focus just on football with so many other things going on around the school?
I guess a little bit, but I think all the fun with homecoming makes it so I'm more pumped up for the game and more ready to play. I don't know, that's just me.
Plus, it's Springville kind of adds a little extra. So what about a date for homecoming? You got a date?
Yeah. Do you want me to tell you who it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Junior Alexis Johnson. She's a cheerleader.
Oh, there you go, Junior. Very good.
Well, Isaac is another standout receiver from this region. I feel like this region, specifically in this area, wide receivers are making a big impact for their teams.
Absolutely. And I also had a chance to talk to Jerem Jones. He started every game last year as a freshman. Now he's only a sophomore. We found out about his dating plans for homecoming.
Not really slowing down that much. I've been out here working hard, usual, just balling out this year. Good practices. We have a pretty solid team this year, lots of depth.
It's got to be a little bit of a help that you've got 7 or 8 or 10 games under your belt, though. And let's talk a little bit about the offensive line changes, what position you're playing this year versus last year.
Yeah, it is good to have some experience this year. It really helps a lot. I'm definitely grateful that I had the opportunity to start last year. And as far as offensive lineman this year, yeah, I've been playing right guard, and it's pretty good position. Just getting used to it. But this week I think I'm getting some reps at center, so I'll be pretty good.
Good, that's awesome. And it's rivalry week with Springville, and it's homecoming as well. How about all the activities that have been going on around the high school? Does it make it hard to focus on the game? Would you get caught up in everything else that's going on around you?
Nah, I'm just worried about the game. That's all I'm thinking about.
Oh yeah, sure it is. Okay, good. So you got a date for homecoming?
No, can't date till I'm 16.
Oh, that's right. You're a sophomore. Okay, very good. So we know your parents, big supporters of Spanish Fork. Is anybody else you want to give a shout out to who supports you all season long?
I just got to give a shout out to my grandparents. They've always been here for me, and I really love them to death.
Well, we know he can't date yet, but we definitely know that he can play. You know, last year he played almost every game virtually at center, and they're switching him around to play right guard. I mean, this guy can really do it all.
Yeah, and he's only a sophomore. So, and we also had a chance to talk to probably the biggest, most imposing-looking player on the offensive line. That'd be Tanner Parker. The guy looks like an NFL player to me, and he's coming off a big injury from last year. I had a chance to talk to him a little bit about that injury, rehabbing it, and coming back for this year's season.
This week has been a lot better than previous weeks. I think it's just homecoming and it's a big rival, so I think we're ready to go.
And I know you're coming off a pretty darn significant injury from last year. You missed the end of the season. And let's talk a little bit about the knee injury. How does it feel? You got complete confidence in that knee, or is you still a little bit in the back of your mind you're thinking about it?
Well, I got these awesome knee braces on that help me, so I'm pretty safe. And there's been a couple of times where I've been rolled up on, but I've been perfectly fine. So I think they're pretty good, and they saved me, so I'm pretty confident.
So maybe we can take a look at these knee braces. Tell me they're fitted specifically for you, and they give you stability front, back, so as an offensive lineman you don't get rolled up on?
Yeah, so it just kind of helps the knee so it doesn't go in or out, and it doesn't lock back or forward as far. So the knee's pretty safe, and the only high risk is a small MCL tear now and not an ACL.
Right, because the ACL is the thing you want to avoid at all costs, right? Okay, so let's talk homecoming. Springville, what comes to your mind when you think about playing the Red Devils?
They're just a rival. A lot of our teammates kind of transferred over from here this last year, and so I know they want to go beat them, and I want to go beat them. I mean, it's homecoming week, and we got to put the wood down.
Do you think it's a challenge of the coaches to keep the football team focused on the football game with so much going around, or is the football game kind of first and foremost after class in your head?
To me, the game comes first, but there's always those kids who want to party and go out and do stuff all night, and me, I'm in bed at 10 o'clock, sleeping well, so.
Attaboy, good. So I suppose you got a date for homecoming?
Yeah, I do. Alexis Coca from Timpview High School.
From Timpview, really? Very good, okay. So you broke a bunch of hearts in Spanish Fork, probably?
Yeah, you could say.
Okay, very good. And so how about injuries? You guys are you coming into this game relatively healthy, do you think?
Yeah, we have a strong line. I don't feel like we have any injuries there, and the receivers are perfectly fine, and secondary, everything's good, so.
As an offensive lineman, how much opportunity do you have to study film to know the guy that's going to be lining up right over you? Do you know anything about him? Give me a little scouting report on the guy that you're going to be blocking most of the night.
I study a lot, and they're kind of bull rush first, so as long as I can stop that, so I can get my punch on him and kind of stop his momentum, that'd be nice, so I could stop his bull rush.
He can't be, he's not as big as you, right?
No, nobody's as big as me.
Not as strong as you, right?
No.
Not as handsome as you, right?
Not even.
You know, coming off injury is very tough, but we were able to see he had his braces on. He looked like he was ready to go, and really we've seen a lot of of concern with injuries and really keeping players healthy lately.
Yeah, we had a chance at practice to watch the trainer in action, Rory Eyring, who is his second year at Spanish Fork High School, and brought such a comfort level to the parents, to the coaches. He's so knowledgeable, and he plays a really big role behind the scenes in Spanish Fork football. And he talked to us a little bit about some of the most common injuries and how the weather is going to affect injuries this time of the season.
Well, really, we're just dealing with kind of the grind of the season. Just a lot of bumps and bruises. We've been really lucky, kind of knock on wood. So far, we've been fairly healthy. So I'm really pleased where we're at right now.
We're trying to get this interview, and you've got two guys that are waiting for your attention just that quick. So it's just a daily thing, daily occurrence. You're looking at guys, a practice ever go by, and you're not out there evaluating injuries.
You know, that's a good day. I always hope for those days where I'm sitting in the golf cart being lazy, you know. But every once in a while, yeah, we do have things. And usually when I've got one go down, it's kind of contagious a little bit sometimes, it seems. And they kind of go down in twos or threes. But, you know, like I said, we've been really, really lucky. Nothing really major. Just most of the time it just kind of scares the guys a little bit. And they just like hearing that they're okay more than anything.
And I know that concussions have become kind of a big deal and kind of the buzzword. And as you start to take care of these guys, it adds a little bit of pressure to you because you have the final say on some of these guys when they're going to play and when it's time to take their helmet away and not let them back in the game.
Yeah, you know, as athletic trainers, we're really kind of ground zero with concussions. And we've got great coaches, great administration that really, when it comes down to it, it's the health of our athlete. I mean, ultimately, it is just a game, even though it seems more like that in their life, but it's just a game. And so with us being on the forefront, our coaches were all on the same page, and ultimately, they've got my back, which is really, really nice. And, you know, we just control those concussions as best we can and then manage them when they do occur. So.
And I know as being a parent of a son that played for 3 years, you kind of become the eyes and ears of the parents. And it's just a comforting feeling for the parents to know that you're out there keeping an eye on those guys and making sure you have their best interest at heart.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, that's really the rewarding part for me. If I can go home every day and everyone's healthy as can be and we make it out of those games and, you know, nothing major happens, that's where I get my reward. So.
I'm sure. So as we're about starting the fourth week, what would be the most common injury that you see, would you say?
Really, at this point, more common is just kind of strains, you know, a little bit of sprains of ligaments, but mostly just those muscular, soft tissue injuries.
And Rory, we can feel there's kind of a nip in the air. We're getting closer to fall. The temperature's going down. Does that change anything in the type of injuries or things you need to worry about as the temperature starts to go down?
Yeah, it's definitely something we've got to take into consideration. The biggest thing is we try and heat and stuff before practice, and then if practice is a little delayed, if they're watching film, then they come out here and they've already cooled down a little bit. So we try and educate coaches, hey, if that happens, hey, we really want to spend some extra time with warm-ups and things like that so we're not just jumping from cold straight into activity.
You know, Rory's such a great guy and a big part of the program, figuratively, and the role that he takes on, and he really does have an important role. And it's so cool that the coaches respect what he says, whether the players get back in the game and who's eligible to play.
Yeah, we're going to see the importance of Rory's preparation with the guys in about 5 minutes, maybe even less. I think we're a little bit less than my watch is a little bit off here. I'm just so excited. We got a little bit less than 5 minutes. Don't go away. We'll come right back, wrap up with our final comments right before game day.
Welcome back to our pregame show. We're excited here. We're only less than 5 minutes away from kickoff, and and we're ready to go. So I'm really excited to watch Spanish Fork and see what they can do.
Spanish Fork, Springville, big rivalry game. If you're watching this, we love to have you watching. Keep watching, and if you can go to the game, go to the game because it's gonna be a great atmosphere.
Absolutely. But if you can't get to the game, what are the options?
What are the options? We have 3 options for you. You can watch it online at sfcn.org, or you can go to youtube.com/SpanishFork17. And of course, you can always stay right there in your warm, comfy house and watch it at your home.
Yeah, there's no excuse not to watch it. So we're excited about this game. If you can't make it to the game, stay with us. And we are just 2 minutes from kickoff. Make sure anybody you know that would be interested, give them a call. And one last reminder, we will not be covering Maple Mountain's game live, but stay tuned to Spanish Fork 17 throughout the week for highlights of the game as they go out to 2-11 play. And Spanish Fork tonight in Springville. It's homecoming, and we're ready for kickoff.
Hey, we want to give a special thanks and a shout out to our sponsor for the high school pregame show right here on SFCN, to Salem Chevron and Burger King.